Yep, more cleanup time. So I'm going to show you what I did out here. We'll see if this works. They just delivered the dumpster. So nice little sunset we got going here. Rancho Palos Verdes. So yep, onward and upward. Sometimes this isn't the most glamorous thing, but we'll get her done. Hey guys, welcome back. Another week, another video. You know, for me, people think, I don't know, some of my friends think I'm doing this just to make money on YouTube, but the reality is, given the number of views, I am not making any money. This is more about accountability for me to kind of keep moving forward and to keep projects moving forward. I think that's probably the hardest thing if you're doing work on a house, is keeping moving forward, keeping constant progress. So this week, a couple of things. Number one is I finished cleaning up from last week from the wall demo. So I've got a little montage in there, cleaned everything up, it's in the dumpster. The dumpster blocks my driveway, so I'm kind of excited to get it fully loaded and gone, which I'll probably pick it up tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. But I don't know if any of you are like me, but just as an aside, purging and throwing crap away is probably one of the best feelings ever. I had an old heater sitting out on the deck, it's gone. I feel great about that. The other thing, talking about this week, is heating and air conditioning. We've got summer coming up here in California. I live in Long Beach, which generally is not too bad, but at the same time, I like to be comfortable. And when this house was built, it has radiant heat in the ceilings, which has been disconnected, horribly inefficient, doesn't really work that well, and no air conditioning. There's no room for ductwork anywhere in the house. So the previous owners installed a mini split system, and I'm gonna be adding another system to that, another mini split unit this week. If you look over my shoulder, you can see it. A lot of people think it's like a room air conditioner. It's not. It's actually a split system, meaning there's two parts. There's an air handler, which is what you see behind me, and then there's also another unit, which we are going to show right about now. Sorry about the wind. If you look right behind me here, you can see the second part of the unit. That's actually the heat pump, or the condensing unit. And the way it works is based on a, wow, now it's getting kind of windy, but it works on a fluid like an air conditioner, except it also works in reverse, so it can add heat from the air back into the fluid, and that works as a heater. And this is my bedroom. Why am I showing you my bedroom? Because in the summer, it can get really warm at night, and I don't sleep well when it's warm, so here's my plan with my mini split system. I am going to take the unit that's upstairs, I'm going to move it down here to the bedroom, which is directly underneath. I am then going to add a new higher capacity unit for the one upstairs. And I thought I would talk a little bit about this because you know, the more I look into it, the more the heating and air conditioning business is pretty much crazy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the process and getting bids and kind of how that's been going, since I'm hoping to have this done before the weather actually gets warm. So for our mini split system behind me, I've been getting bids to do this. So in my case, I need the unit that's behind me moved, and then I also need a new unit installed in its place. And I've contacted, and I think this is a good idea for any major purchase, anything that's specialized like this, like air conditioning equipment. You definitely want to talk to more than one person. I think it's never a good idea to just kind of take the first bid. So I've had 3 companies come by so far, and the first one just flat out, they looked around, they didn't even write it up, they told me $8,000. And that's a lot of money, not as much as I want to pay. I had a second company come out. I have their written bid, and this company's approach was much different. I think they wanted to evaluate the system. They wanted to ask me, how do I use my house? What are my habits? Do I come home at night? Do I stay here during the day? Kind of what do I do? What features are important to me? And then they came up with a bid for the entire work of $7,300 approximately. And I still feel like that's too much to really install one system and move another one. And I'll tell you kind of my reason for that. Something that I like to do is I like to double check things. And the air conditioning business is unique in that most of the time as a consumer, it's very hard for you to figure out exactly how much the equipment costs. So there's really not a huge breakdown between the equipment and the labor. And I do a lot of work with a painter, and I love this painter. We're probably gonna have him on here shortly. He's a great guy, and one of the cool things that he does is when he estimates a job, he looks around, you tell him what you want done, and he'll actually count out the number of days and the number of guys that he needs, and he'll give you a price based on that and the paint. And for the mini split systems, I guess I kind of expected it to be similar, where it'd be the cost of the equipment plus 1 to 2 days of labor. I think it's about 1 to 2 days. And instead, two of the companies that quoted, one of them actually had a flat fee for the price of installing the systems in their book, and then a flat fee for what the price of the systems was. But being a consumer and being kind of enterprising, I'm going to show you guys this in a second upstairs, I went on and I discovered that the cost of the systems is not as expensive. The hardware itself is about $2,000, $2,100, and then there's kind of all these little extra items you need, like a line set, an electrical box, a cover for the outside. So I mean, there's all these extra pieces of equipment, but even adding that stuff up, I think that's another $400 to $500. That's $2,500 for the system. So on a first quote, that would mean that they quoted $5,500 in labor for 2 days of a skilled technician, and that just seems ridiculous to me. So we're waiting on the third quote, which I think is going to come in a bit lower. I worked with that contractor before. He's really good, and he kind of estimates how much do I need to pay for the equipment, how much do I need to pay myself and guys to do the work. So I'm hoping that that quote comes in a bit better. Yeah, and that's pretty much what's going on this week. I was going to take you guys upstairs and show you the actual system that I want to get, but you'll just be looking at a computer screen. I think anytime, if you want to Google around and try and find a source for the hardware, just as a reality check on pricing, just to kind of get that reference point, the equipment's $2,000 to $2,500, so I know the rest of it is going into labor and everything else. So we'll see how that works out. I hope to have an update on that next week. Our roof project is ongoing. The roofer pushed me back again for the spray foam roof, so I don't really want to do any drywall work around the house until that's done. But on the mini split system, as soon as I get a price I like, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger. We're in Long Beach here, but when it's hot at night and I can't sleep, I think that's one of the most miserable things ever. And if you've ever experienced that, you know it's worth almost any amount of money to not have to experience that. Anyhow, we will see you next week.